for the universe, let's get striking. Feel the power, can the force of the mightiest fighting. Energy blast, hit fast, hot beams like lightning. Who can win a new god or the hands of a titan? I'm the king. I'm the king. Yeah, hard and pride crash like when stars collide. Feel it all inside, I'm ready for your soul's demise. I'm the king. I'm the king. I'm the king. I'm the king.
Hello, everybody. What?
Immediately! No fucking way, man.
Tiger, are you with us?
This is the reason why we've been taking so long to get up. It's this. Immediately.
I see your audio, so it's registering that you have a microphone. Are you here with us? Oh, no. All right, so Kagura's been having some issues this entire setup. You're trying to talk? Well, we cannot hear you. It is coming up as not receiving any audio. Whoa, wait, try again. It's like a heartbeat. I saw it go for a second.
Yeah, what's going on?
Back. Okay.
What's going on?
He's alive.
He's alive.
Oh my God, this
Right.
PC is actually a piece of shit. I am going to kill it.
All right, we can't dilly-dally because we don't know how long he'll remain on this mortal plane with us. Fan Battle Cast, we debate matchups that were pitched to the Death Battle team. I'm the host. Adonis, say hi. He's the pitcher of this matchup.
Hi, what a way to be introduced. You hear my cackling laughter.
Dark Lore, he's debating for Eren today.
I'm gonna die.
And we have Kagura, he's debating for Clive today.
Yeah, and I am having technical difficulties. I will destroy Eren Yeager for these technical difficulties. I am mad. Also, I wanted Ghost Rider versus Devilman on Nubia.
On Nubia?
Nebula, I meant.
Nubia's the mod in Discord. Yeah, so
I mixed them up, all right?
So we're just gonna jump in today. This highly debatable matchup between Eren and Clive. Who wants to go first?
I guess I could go first for Eren.
All right, I'll bring up the timer for Eren's 60 seconds of debate time.
All right. Okay. So, Eren Yeager, he is that guy. He watched his family die, eaten by Titans, and now he's out to kill all the Titans, except plot twist, he's actually the villain of the story all along, who's been orchestrating the events from throughout time in order to make sure that he could get to the point where he could basically kill, so then he could basically gain his freedom. He is a massive manipulator, has so many different abilities from through being a Titan shifter, basically people who can turn into Titans, big guys who want to eat people. He has so many of them and so many different esoteric abilities that Clive simply will not be able to keep up, and then ultimately he will lose. He might have been able to beat Dante, but this Titan's gonna make this icon cry.
Well, I guess spoilers for both Attack on Titan and the Death Battle. We probably should have said either of those earlier.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
Death Battle's
real.
only been out
If
for
you
a
come
day.
into a stream about Death Battle, I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'd be pretty happy if y'all came to the stream without even watching the Death Battle. That would make me personally happy.
Yeah,
Now that
it would.
I probably
Okay, to be fair, the episode's been out for 2 days at this point, so I think
Mm-hmm.
spoilers are kind of out the window.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of spoilers, let's talk about Clive. So, as you all know, Clive Rosfield absolutely destroyed Dante. It was a no diff. But who is Clive? Clive was born in the kingdom of Rosaria. He is the shield of Joshua, his younger brother, the Phoenix. Then one day, a terrible thing happened as Clive saw Ifrit kill his brother. And then he became a slave to the Empire. And then he spent 14 years trying to track down the killer of his brother until plot twist, Ifrit was him all along. And then he had to learn how to conquer himself to free the world from the oppressors that polluted society. And he has a girlfriend, and he has a dog, and he has a guy named Sid, and he has absolutely too many feats to count.
They really didn't bring up his dog in the death battle, did
They,
Torgo
they,
is best boy.
look, they knew that Dante already has enough IRS jokes. If they had Dante shoot Torgal, they wouldn't stop the ATF Dante jokes.
All
they?
right.
Oh.
You know what? If Dante shot Torgal, so many people would say Clive needs to destroy him right now.
See, that would have been the safe option, if everyone would have been fine with the verdict if they just had Dante shoot the dog.
All right. So most of people here have seen the death battle, so I don't think we need to go too in depth into Clive right now. But Cogger, would you like to say anything about like generally what abilities Clive is bringing to the table in this?
All
game?
right. So I guess first of all, I will say Clive is if I had to describe Clive's fighting style, I would say he is a magic swordsman type character. If you put him in D&D, he would be in D&D terms, he would be like a fighter wizard or like warlock. What's that warlock class that's focused on melee?
Knight.
Yeah, Eldritch
Eldritch
Knight.
Knight is fighter.
Yeah, he would be an Eldritch Knight basically.
Could also be a paladin with his oath to Joshua, if you think of it that way.
Yeah, kind of. But the main point is he is a magic swordsman. He specializes in swordsmanship and magic. So he uses his main sword is a blade known as Invictus. It's a really cool looking sword. It's pretty long too. It's not as big as Cloud's Buster sword, but it's still a pretty good long blade. It's also stated to be very sharp. And for his normal attacks, he has lunge, which basically he charges his sword first at a target.
I love that you have to specify in his list of abilities. He has a sword, which happens to be very sharp. This ain't no decorative sword.
This isn't Guts with his clang.
I mean, yeah, I have to specify that it's sharp because sometimes, people are say, "Oh, but it's royal. That's a royal sword. Is it really sharp? Is it really useful?" No, Invictus is useful. It's not one of those decorative swords that you see rich people hang up on the walls and say, "Oh, look at my fancy sword." No, it's a real sword. It has actual functionality.
If the sword's so strong, why did Clive only use his fists in order to beat Ultimalius?
Well, we'll get into that later. The point is, I try to name some of his moves. He can stomp on an opponent's head to gain extra height. Clive can parry. He can just parry attacks. He also has a neat thing called precision dodge, which basically at the right moment, whenever an enemy attacks, Clive will just dodge the attack and take no damage. It enhances his reflexes to like unbelievable levels. And yeah, he also has magic powers, but we'll get to those later.
So Clive is an extremely good magical swordsman. Very good martially. What's Eren? How's Eren gonna beat that?
All right. So here's the thing with Eren. Sherm, could you bring up ODM gear? That's Ganna sent you. So this is basically a gear that people within the Paradise military can use in order to fight Titans. These things can basically fly around. They can grapple hook onto objects in order to make sure you can like go around. But here's a very important part. Notice the swords that they carry. These are very sharp blades, very sharp. And they're designed in order to break. So then if they do break against fighting a Titan, they have 6 extra blades, 3 on each side, in order to continue fighting. So this means in total, Eren has about 8 sharp swords that he can use. Well, how many does Clive have? Only 1? Yes. But there's a cool little explanation behind how the ODM gear kind of works. It's basically designed, and I quote, if you're on the ground without ODM gear, it's kind of like you're fighting on a 2D plane. However, with ODM gear, you're able to fight on a 3D plane. So you can basically fly around and are incredibly hard to hit. So then Clive is going to have a hard time pinning Eren down if he's using ODM gear. However, that's not all Eren can do. Sherm, could you bring up Titan Shifter?
Titan Shifter?
Titan, I think that's what I titled this game. Yeah, here we go. This is basically Eren's bread and butter. As a Titan Shifter, what Eren can do is, upon hurting himself via like biting himself or like cutting himself on like something he has, in doing so, he is able to transform into a Titan. And here's the thing with Titan Shifters. Each one has their own special ability that they can use in order to fight. And however, each ability is not just exclusive to one Titan Shifter. One Titan Shifter can have multiple different Titan Shifter abilities, which Eren has started to kind of absorb into himself in order to become basically the ultimate Titan Shifter. Okay. So Titan Shifters, they can only live for 13 years at a time, but that's not really going to come up in this fight. So here's the Titan Shifter ability that Eren has at a base. It's the Attack Titan. Basically, what the Attack Titan can do is it can punch and even harden its own kind of body in order to become like crystallized. However, that's not all it can do. For whatever reason, the Attack Titan can move through time in order to basically manipulate events from the past through like the memories of previous Attack Titan wielders. So Eren can like basically go back in time and force his dad in order to like do something through like manipulation. And this is something Eren has been doing constantly throughout the entire series. He's constantly been manipulating events in order to make sure that everything lines up so then he can basically gain his freedom, which is the main thing that he's looking for throughout this series.
Okay. Time manipulation's a pretty strong ability.
Yeah. However, there's two other Titan Shifter abilities that Eren has. The first is the Warhammer Titan. Basically, with it, he can create like hard-bodied constructs like hammers, or he can basically just like make a Titan-sized ODM gear for himself in order to like fly around. It's like I don't think he's ever done it in canon, but like it's theoretically possible for him to do it. So he has a ton of different versatility with Warhammer, but the final part of this is he has the Founding Titan, basically the very first Titan. With the Founding Titan, he can basically manipulate every single subject of Ymir, which is basically just the people of Paradise, in order to basically do whatever he wants with something known as the Pats. I'm not going to get into the Pats right now because it's like really complicated, but basically Eren can just do whatever he wants. Like, short of like manipulating reality itself, Eren can do basically anything, which is simply just not something that Clive can keep up with. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like a whole army.
Yeah, he's basically got an entire army. He actually does have an army. Basically, the walls in Attack on Titan, you know those walls that that surround everything in surround the cities. Those are actually giant colossal titans that have basically turned into stone. In the finale, Eren can like basically summon all of those colossal titans in order to fight by his side. So he has a massive numbers advantage over Clive that I don't think Clive can simply keep up with. Yeah.
Kagura, sounds like you're in a bit of trouble here, huh? What's
Yeah.
Clive gonna do about all this?
Interesting that you asked. Remember how I said we'll get into the magic later? Well,
Yeah.
this is it now. So you may be thinking, oh crap, Titans? What's Clive gonna do against that? Well, now's the time where I bring up his magic, because did you forget? He is a magic swordsman, not a swordsman.
Oh, it's coming back.
Yep. So let's start with his most basic bread and butter technique, his fire. Clive is naturally gifted in fire magic. He can cast all sorts of fire spells like Heat Wave, which creates a wall of flames ahead of himself and sends a flaming sword beam towards his foes. And the blast of the sword beam can destroy enemy projectiles. He creates Scarlet Cyclone, which creates a rapid swirling vortex of fire, Rising Flames, which summons a single wing to his back and like launches enemies into the air, and the Flames of Rebirth, which scorch everything in the area with fire.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more than that, because as the story of the game progresses, Clive gets stronger and he gets more magical powers. He has Garuda, which gives him wind-based powers and wind magic. Rook's Gambit, which allows Clive to dodge an attack and then at the same time retaliate with a talon. Wicked Wheel, which spins Garuda's talons around himself and does a ton of damage. Gouge, which is a rapid combo of just endless strings of Garuda claws. And Aerial Blast, which summons a massive vortex of wind, trapping enemies within and dealing massive damage to them.
This magic all sounds good and fine, but how's it gonna stop like a whole army?
Well, I am not done listing off all the magic he has.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. There is Ramu, which summons Lightning Bolts, actual Lightning Bolts to deal massive damage. In fact, these Lightning Bolts can be actually huge in scale. So, if a Lightning Bolt strikes a Titan, it's going to destroy it instantly. These Lightning do heavy damage to pretty much every enemy in the game. And I think some of those enemies are stronger than what the Titans can do.
Mm.
And speaking of Titan, there's actually Titan himself, which is the icon of Earth. Titanic Block is a move that Clive can use that can block attacks indefinitely. He can block pretty much any attack as long as he's holding the Titan counter.
Okay.
There's also Quake, which launches enemies into the air. He could create an earthquake. And of course, if you are hit by one of Titan's fists, it's going to hurt a lot.
I would imagine so.
And next up, we have Bahamut. Now, Bahamut is basically a giant dragon that allows Clive to fly. He can fly into the air, and he can also shoot out basically Kamehameha blasts.
I don't want to like cut you off or anything.
Yeah.
Are we just gonna like list off every single spell Clive has access to?
Okay. All right, I'll one last one.
All right, one more.
One more, and then we'll do this. All right, but one of the things that I think are going to really mess up the Titan is Odin, who is the icon of darkness. Odin can use this powerful ability that not only stops the flow of time around him, but also it can cut space itself. Now, it cuts through space, meaning that there's no way to physically defend against it. I don't think the Titans can do anything about that.
So I'm getting the look at the dynamic of the fight. We've got all the Titans. They're coming at Clive. Clive's got all this magic that's gonna like, if he's strong enough, he can like take out like swaths of Titans. So I guess that begs the question: is how strong are these guys?
All right, Dark Lord, you want to go first?
I'll let you go first. I'll see what you have cooking up.
Okay.
How strong's Clive?
How strong is Clive? So early on, I say like this is like kind of the mid game, actually. But even earlier than that, there was a huge crater that was made by Ifrit and Phoenix's fight. That crater, I think, was calculated to be like in the megaton ranges of power.
Megatons.
Yeah, but we got something better than that. Could you bring up Broken Rock?
Broken Rock.
This is from the Ifrit versus Titan fight. As you can see here, Clive lifts up a giant rock and bashes another giant rock, which you think would not be very high in scale, but it surprisingly is when you consider how big these rocks are.
How big are these rocks?
Could you bring up Medieval Man Above Nukes?
Medieval Man Above Nukes.
Yeah. So, from the very instant of this smashing of rocks, Clive is generating 45 gigatons of TNT, which is island level.
That's
And
pretty strong.
Is also moving at Mach 57 or 54. I meant.
I can't go that fast. That's pretty fast.
Yeah, it's pretty.
I can go that fast. You can't.
Listen, I haven't been working out a little bit. So
You gotta stay on that grind. Turn that mindset into a grind set, brother.
Look, just get invest in some nuclear generators.
Yeah.
Strap on some jet engines to your car, and you're off to the races, as they say.
And it does make sense that these numbers are that high when you consider how big Ifrit is, and how big the Titan is, and how big the Rock is.
How big are these things?
Very big, enough to generate that amount of energy.
It makes sense for them to be big enough to generate that much energy because they're big enough to generate that much energy.
Yes.
Thank you, Kalgra. That's good to know. All right. So island level in Mach 55 is pretty good. Does Eren have anything even close to any of that?
Okay. So let me just pull up my stuff. So through feats of his own. Sorry, I'm just pulling stuff up real quick. Hold on. Okay, yeah. So Eren could do shit like he was able to process Ymir's entire life in a few seconds upon making contact with her, which got like Mach 6100. Yeah, like Mach 6000, and this is consistent considering the fact that Eren could process like 43 years of memories in a few seconds, which also got Mach 6000. So Eren
What was the
is
first number?
Mach 6109. The second one was Mach 6374.
Okay.
Yeah, so Eren is a very fast boy, and that's just
That's specifically reaction.
Yeah, but he could react to Clive, which is definitely going to be important. And it's worth noting that, like, even just going into, like, the Colossal Titan form is basically the equivalent of dropping a nuke on somebody. Because when you turn, it basically, like, expels a ton of steam from your body and, like, a lot of energy. And, like, growing that large is basically the equivalent of a nuke. And Eren's own Doomsday Titan, which is basically a specialized version of Colossal Titan, and which could get up to 101 megatons of TNT, which puts him above Clive, actually. This is just Eren's feat by himself.
I'm not sure if the number you said was bigger than the number Clive
Wait,
gave.
was
Actually,
it? No, I thought that the thing that Kagura brought up was 45. Wait, no, was it 45 gigatons? And I only brought up 100 megatons.
Yeah, it was 40. It was 45 gigatons.
Gotta get those
Yep.
conversions right.
Okay,
Yep.
sorry.
45
forgot the-
gigatons.
I forgot the thing. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a little out of it today. Yeah. Okay, so that is just like the base, like, Titans themselves. This is like, these Titans do not hold a candle to the founding Titan itself, which is Eren's final form. It's so large that, like, the Colossal Titans are, like, not even coming up to, like, the shins. Not like shins. They're like not even up to the ankles of the founding Titan. That's how, like, big we're talking here. And, like, it's so much more powerful that, like, these are, like, not comparable in the slightest. So this is all, like, heavy upscales.
Okay.
Yeah.
With enough upscaling, someone in the megatons range could get into the gigatons range.
Yeah, exactly.
At which point, the numbers advantage could theoretically be very useful.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're to make the assumption that Eren's AP is somewhat relative to Clive's AP at this point in time, it seems like Eren's got the advantage with the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
However, do you have anything to say?
He doesn't. Remember how I said that Clive could stop time?
I do remember that.
Yes. This is where that comes into play. So, okay, you might say, oh, look at these hundreds of Titans all surrounding Clive. What is he going to do? Well, Clive can stop time. And even though his time stop is not that long, during that time stop, he can easily wipe out all of Eren's minions in one go. And not only that, the time stop is spammable, meaning he can abuse it a lot. There's nothing that Eren can do to stop himself from suddenly having his army surrounding Clive, and then suddenly, boom, his army is completely dead. What is Eren going to do?
Seems pretty powerful.
Yeah, exactly. Eren can't do anything. Eren is gonna be like Polnareff when Polnareff went up to the stairs in Dio's palace. He's gonna be so confused.
So I'm gonna level a little bit with everyone here. It seems like Clive is just really strong, much stronger than Eren, has magic that'll just like win instantly. Darklord has said he has arguments for Eren, but because I don't know what the arguments are, I don't really know how to lead into them without like
Just
sounding
how does
condescending
Eren-
at this point.
Okay.
So my question is, Darklord, making the assumption that Clive is super strong and has super powerful, crazy magic, what topics would you like to bring up in Eren's favor, just in general?
You know how I mentioned we'll get into the Pats later?
Yeah.
Alright, bring up the Pats. Let me just pull up this.
Bringing up the paths. I love this art, by the way.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of really good art in the anime. But basically, this is the Pats. Basically an alternate reality where all subjects of Ymir are connected via an invisible force. So then This is like metaphysical and transcends the boundaries of space and time itself, allowing the inheritors of Titans and Ackermans. Ackermans are an entirely different thing. I'm not going to get into that right now. To inherit memories and experiences from their predecessors. And this even allows for Eren's Attack Titan ability to take place, where he can go back, witness memories from past Attack Titan wielders, and even manipulate the past in order to change the present in his favor. So, while normal subjects of Ymir can't normally go into the past for more than a brief second, Titan shifters have the unique ability where they can just go in and they can go in and they basically don't have a time limit. They can just go wherever. And this realm seemingly has infinite time where past, present, and future all exist at once within it. This is the realm where Ymir, the first Titan, basically stayed in order to build every single subsequent Titan, as well as the Titan shifters, in order to basically do anything to basically just do what they do throughout the series. However, you'll notice a few things that I mentioned during this explanation. AKA Titan shifters can go into the past and stay there as long as they want. This is a realm that exists beyond time, where past, present, and future exist all at once, as well as Ymir exists here in order to basically build every Titan. Now, this is where Eren's going to get a little cheesy. So basically, if Clive were to say, pull a time stop, well, this time stop is limited, while Eren, he can just go into the past and then basically just do whatever, and Clive can't really do anything because Eren now has infinite time to come up with strategies in order to exploit these against Clive. And Ymir also works in here in order to basically build every Titan. So then Eren has Ymir completely on his side. So then you can basically just kind of have Ymir basically turn every single person, every single subject of Ymir into a Titan in order to fight by his side. So he can constantly keep replenishing the army in case Clive ever strikes it down. He also has the past memories of every single wielder of the Attack Titan, and even other Titans that he can use by his side. So Clive is constantly going to be on the back foot from hundreds of different Titans from all throughout history, all pulling out completely unique abilities against him. And remember, there's even the fact that Eren can go back in time using the Attack Titan in order to basically manipulate the memories of past wielders. So he could manipulate a past Attack Titan to go and kill Clive as a baby. That's right, he's pulling a baby Hitler.
There we go.
Okay,
It's a pretty effective move.
I was wondering when we get into the cheese.
Yeah, okay. Look, I'm going against Mr. I beat Dante, okay? I had to pull out some cheese, okay?
Yeah, it's fine. We kind of all knew it was coming eventually.
Yeah. And also, what better victory is there for basically Hitler than to pull the baby Hitler mind experiment on his opponent?
Kagura, does Clive have any possible defense against
the baby
Eren
Hitler
sending
strat?
an assassin to kill Clive as a baby?
Okay, so first of all, I have to ask, how would the assassin even get past Rosaria? Because keep in mind, baby Clive would be in Rosaria at the time, where his father was one of the most powerful rulers in the entire lands.
To be fair, putting aside Clive and Joshua, I don't know if Rosaria has anyone that could stop a Titan.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know this is a kind of a fun conversation in general, but unironically, a bunch of Titans going back in time to siege Rosaria does sound kind of fun.
All right.
This is the silliest Terminator movie yet, and I'm including all the modern ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, there is also another funny thing he could do in order to sneak past. remember, Eren can see both the future and the past. Can see the future in order to manipulate the past. So he could basically coach the Attack Titan wielder he's sending to kill the baby Clive in order to basically have him dodge and weave every single guard by knowing when they're coming in order to basically have him
That's
sneak in and
interesting.
then kill baby Clive.
That's interesting. However, can the assassin deal with Ultima? Because
Okay.
here's my argument against the time travel. Ultima's big plan is to use Clive as a vessel. He's not going to want anybody just walking in and killing his perfectly created vessel without his approval. So Ultima
hang
will
on,
get
this-
involved.
This smells of outside help to me. Hang on.
Yeah, the spells
All
like
right.
that help.
I would say it is outside help. However, hear me out. Ultima literally created Clive to be his perfect vessel. I don't think it's entirely out of character for him to step inside and get involved if someone threatened the past. Unless
the weird thing we have to bring up though here is does Ultima actually have that sort of time awareness to him?
well, here's where I bring up a couple of other arguments, I suppose.
All right.
First of all, actually, on a side tangent, could you bring up light speed?
Oh, and that's just an ability.
Yeah. But it's proof that Clive goes at light speed. Also, he blocked the lasers.
He did block the lasers.
Yeah. All right. Could you bring up the interdimensional rift?
Interdimensional rift.
Yes. This is a place beyond space and time that was created by Ultima. So Ultima created this location that's above time itself, which would mean that Ultima himself is above time, thus allowing him to perceive the timeline, both past, present, and future. And Clive beat Ultima. So, arguably, and this is my other counter to time travel. Remember that Clive absorbed all of Ultima's power at the end of the game. So he would be able to sense that someone is trying to go back in time. And you know what he would do? He could cast magic and time travel. That's right.
I thought he
He
died
could
at
go-
the end of the game.
It's left vague.
It's vague.
left-
It's vague.
yeah,
It's vague.
it's left vague. Is he dead? Is he alive? Who knows?
Who knows?
So
I like
is
to
he
believe.
alive. Is he factually? Know he is alive at any point after absorbing Ultimisha's power.
Briefly, long enough for him to basically rid the world of magic entirely.
Clive only, and we don't know if he died for sure. All right, it's very vague if he did, because we really don't know. It's Clive only seemingly perished after he used all of the power to get rid of all the magic on the world. In this battle, there's no reason for Clive to do that, because he's gonna need that magic to beat Eren. So until Eren is defeated, he's gonna keep all the magic.
Now, I'm not a Final Fantasy 16 expert, but this seems a little odd to me based on what I've just seen from the recent death battle. Janus, you know Clive much better than I do.
Mhm.
Would a death battle with Clive give him Ultimisha's abilities?
It's one of those weird things where it's like, on the one hand, there's a genuine argument of that's his max potential and he should be allowed to have it. On the other hand, there's an argument to be made that, well, he only briefly has the entirety of Ultima's power. I'm going to just say Ultima, it's easier to say. He only briefly has it at the very end of the game and uses it just to wipe the slate clean, as it were. And they certainly didn't use it in the fight animation itself, but I think they did consider it in their in the rundown. Honestly, it's putting aside from this one situation of Eren doing the baby Hitler strat, and yes, I'm gonna continue calling it that because it is funny.
It's not incorrect.
It really is. It's outside of that, it doesn't really directly matter. Although Eren BFRing himself into the paths briefly to try to counter Clive is an interesting point that technically everyone I think ignores. I don't know how many if I can briefly rant slightly about the whole paths thing. I am so annoyed with how we never get a full explanation for those things. It's like we get that full explanation of, oh, this is what the paths are, this is what this is the whole high, different dimensional thing. But on the other hand, it's like, does that mean that Eren just can't die? Because at the end of the series he dies, but did he just let himself die? How did that entire thing was messy in my eyes. I was never, it's always been like, okay, so would he live? Would he die? If Clive kills him entirely in like the real world, can he just respawn whenever he wants? Because Clive technically doesn't have a way to get to the paths. It's always been that sort of weird vagueness in my head.
Something. Eren has like infinite respawns.
From what I understand, and Lore Master, correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Technically, he exists once he has access to the paths. He's just able to regen from any damage he takes and like continuously come back.
Yeah.
Like by the end of the series, if I recall correctly, he's basically there's an entire argument that if I recall correctly, that he has with Ymir and his brother in the past, where Zeke, his brother, wants Ymir to just give up the fight, and Eren insists Ymir that they keep fighting. And so, despite being decapitated, and Ymir basically sends him back in, and that's when he becomes a founding titan. Of course, there's one. I suppose one can make the argument then that's like, well, they never tried completely annihilating every aspect of the physical titan, since they didn't have that sort of firepower, and Clive would have that sort of firepower. But
it does sound like if Eren was just like vaporized, that would be Rapsky.
Well, here's the thing about that, actually. Remember, Eren can see into the future as well as the past. So then he could see, oh, I'm going to get vaporized. So then he can basically make alterations to the timeline to make sure that vaporation death doesn't happen.
I also don't know if I buy it. And, it's because the entire thing of where the Titans come from and how they're made is very, again, it's left very esoteric. We don't get an explanation. Remind me if I'm mistaken, but if I recall correctly, Ymir, when she's a kid, interacts with this, like, the source of all evolution, I think it's called, and that gives her the powers of the Titans. And it's never made clear, like, oh, do you really... It said that Ymir literally shapes the bodies of the Titans in the paths and then sends them into the real world.
Mm-hmm.
That's like we see her shaping the actual Titans there. So if you did get rid of all the Titans in the real world, would that stop Ymir? I don't know. It's that weird vagueness of what exactly do the Titans. What exactly is the true power of the Titan? What exactly was that whole the paths thing?
Basically, I think like so long as somebody is connected to the paths, then Ymir has ways to make new Titans. Because remember, even if you like kill every single Titan, that include like Titan shifters. However, if you kill a Titan shifter, then their ability just goes to a random subject of Ymir. And then the cycle will start all over again, because the spinal fluid from a Titan shifter can turn a regular person into a normal Titan. So then it's kind of like, if you really wanted to like truly get rid of every single Titan, you either need to destroy the paths, or you need to basically kill every single citizen, every single subject of Ymir.
So I'm kind of just trying to take stock of where we're at so far. In like the initial just fisticuffs, it seemed like Clive's got the advantage and Eren can't win that way. So Eren goes to his past home base that's outside of space and time to pull a baby Hitler on Clive. That's strategy number 2.
Pretty much.
So now the question is, can Clive, with Ultimisha's abilities, if Ultimisha can, I keep thinking Ultimisha, which I think is the Final Fantasy VIII villain. What's the villain of 16?
It's
Ultima.
just
Just
Ultima, and then
Okay.
when he's at his final form, it's something like Ultimalius. I think it's Ultimalius is his final
Yeah.
form.
So now he has Ultimalius' powers. The question is, can Clive use Ultimalius' powers to break into the paths and just destroy them if he has the ability, if
Well,
Ultimalius can like do space-time rifts?
yeah. Ultimalius was able to conjure up an entire separate dimension just off of pure magic that exists outside of reality. I don't think it's like beyond reason to assume that Clive, with his power, would be able to break into the paths that clearly exist outside of reality. He would be able to break into the paths and then burn it all down from the inside.
I guess it's maybe possible he has the toolkit to interact with the paths, but I guess my question would be like, would Clive even have a way to know where the paths are or how to get to them? Like if Eren just like disappears, how's it gonna be like instantly know to attack the paths that I assume he would not be aware of immediately?
Well,
Oh God, this is
actually, here's the thing. It's not really like Eren would kind of disappear from the fight. It's not like he'd blink out of existence. It's basically like his consciousness would go to the paths. So his physical body would still be there, but he can go to the paths and then kind of like coach himself from the past. So then he basically could just like put a stop on the fight, go to the paths.
I just
then-
realized this somehow became the whole Hulk versus Godzilla Ultimate nonsense.
Yeah, I mean, also technically, if Eren were to like see into the future, because he can like look into the future to see the events, like the whole point of Attack on Titan is like Eren is manipulating the events throughout the entire series, not just the past, but also to the future, because he knows he's going to die when he's going to die. He planned for himself to die when he eventually dies. So he would see in the future Clive killing him, and he'd basically say, "No, I'm not going to do that." So he can either basically like make sure that he avoids Clive, or if he knows that Clive is going to come at him if he starts the rumbling, then he could just go back in time and then stop it, potentially even before the fight even begins, if you want to go that far.
Okay. So Dark Lord, remind me again. When Eren sends out his consciousness into the past, would you say that it counts as his soul?
No, I'd say it's more so like his consciousness or his thoughts, like saying.
Okay.
I don't know.
So-
Maybe I don't know. I didn't look too closely into if it was like soul or
Do
consciousness.
we even know
but
if the soul exists in Attack on Titan?
Well, you have to assume.
maybe they used it in like a metaphor a few times, but I don't think they, like from what I remember at least, they don't go into saying like it's your soul that goes there or whatever.
Okay. So basically, you're saying his soul is left unguarded. I bring this up only because Clive has an ability known as power and soul absorption. That's right. So you're saying that Eren would leave himself unguarded while he goes back into the timeline, right?
Doesn't that specifically apply only to the icons, though?
It only applies to the icon. However, when Eren leaves when Eren leaves behind his body, he doesn't have his consciousness there. And if it's not there, then Clive could just go up and absorb the soul of of Eren. So what this means is that Eren would be giving Clive all the information about the paths and everything that he needs. He wouldn't get the powers, but he would get everything that Eren knows.
If I understand the paths correctly, isn't like because his consciousness goes to the paths, like he's essentially like pressed pause on the fight. Like I don't think like he's no longer within
Yeah,
contention
it's
with
not.
Clive, so it's not like Clive can like react to that because it's like
Yeah.
I feel, I real quick, I feel the need to call this out. Elias pointing out in chat, Clive just needs to press down on the joystick to see the correct path. Yes, that's the way. That's the right one. There you go.
Yes, press down on the in order to see shit. You gotta go. Okay, so what you're gonna want to do is you're gonna want to die, and then you're gonna want to re-roll. Hope you get an Elvian, and then if you get that, then you can hop into the paths for like a second, and then you could like punch Eren, and then you're out, and then you gotta you gotta try again.
Well,
so this debate is something. I'm just
I
trying
promise
to
you
figure
a
out like
spectacle.
I'm still trying to figure out like what Clive is supposed to do. It kind of seems like Eren the power more or less just makes it so the fight doesn't even happen.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
The way I
again,
almost
if
the way
Eren goes into the paths, then like the fight is permanently on pause, and Clive can't really do anything because he's still at pause. He still has to like move forward through time, and time's not moving forward. So then he basically is just stuck, not really thinking, as Eren goes back in time and pulls off the baby Hitler strat.
Well, it is an action that Eren has to do. He has to consciously activate that ability. And did you remember what I said earlier when I brought up light speed?
Mm.
Oh
Yep.
yeah, right. Clive does just kind of blitz.
Clive blitzes.
There we
GG.
go.
GG. That's my third argument.
There we go.
Are we in final argument territory?
I guess so.
All right, I'll throw the poll up. Which one do you want to give your final argument first?
Okay. I'll get into this. So, for the Pats, you remember how I mentioned it's a realm beyond time. Eren's reaction speed actually scales to the Pats itself, so Eren is immeasurable.
Does it scale to the paths?
Yes.
Based
It
on
does.
what?
Okay, so Eldians have actually reacted within, have actually like processed shit within like like there was a moment within season 4, if I remember correctly, where Eren gets his like fucking neck shot off, and then his head flies up, and then it's like time is basically like slowing down because Eren is like using the pats in order to try and make sure that he can like live that much longer until he could touch his brother Zeke, and in doing so he gets in contact with royal blood, and in doing so, like, since he has the founding titan within him, he needs royal blood in order to activate it. The second he touches it, he's able to then basically like go pats, and so then this scales, so then Eren has measurable speeds, and thus Eren blitzes actually.
Okay. But can you bring up Clive versus Eren?
I will bring up Clive versus Eren. Is his ideology superior? I guess Eren would think
his
so at the very
ideology
least, I
is
guess.
my freedom above your freedom. So yeah.
Is this your entire final argument?
Yeah, this looks like the final argument.
Yes.
All right.
I'm not sure we need anything more.
All right, now we have to come to a verdict. So I'm of two minds on this.
Mm.
I think if we just like put them both, I'm gonna be honest, I really don't know if I can buy the immeasurable Eren argument. There's just something about it seems a bit off to me. I don't know.
No.
So if we're just putting them Standing in a field, bloodlusted. Via superior speed, Clive just incinerates before Eren can do anything. But if this is in
but
character...
Eren would stop the fight before Clive could even do anything by manipulating the paths in order to make sure the fight never happened to begin with.
But Eren's not starting the fight in the paths. He
But
has to go to the paths.
Wouldn't you just consider that a loss in the battle because he can't win the battle, so he has to avoid the battle entirely?
Well, no, the end goal is just killing Clive. It doesn't matter how he kills Clive. And killing Clive as a baby, that seems pretty solid. Or he could just grandfather paradox his shit and kill his grandpappy.
I think
actually killing his grandfather is the worst idea.
Serious, this is a possible way. It is technically a win condition. Eren does have a win condition. I just think it's really hard to argue Eren would do this. Very specific. Because he's not starting in the paths. So he has to be like, all right. He doesn't see the future when he's not in the paths. He has to be in the past to see the future.
No, he sees the past, present, and future at all times.
Is this like a Dr. Manhattan kind of thing? He just like
pretty much
sees all the time.
He basically just sees. He doesn't see like every single moment in time. He just sees like everything that all like Attack Titan wielders have done in it.
I'm trying. I'm trying here. I don't think you've made a very compelling argument with the paths. I think that both have win conditions, which is not something I thought I would be saying honestly half an hour ago. But I don't think I can buy it. I'm sorry. I think. All right, John, that's one vote for Clive. After our conversation, what are you thinking?
After the whole conversation, I mean, I'll be frank. Well, Master, you had an uphill battle, but good God, did you pull off a good fight? You're definitely the fantastic Liam. That said, like Santi was saying, I don't think I can, in good faith, really, say, well, we've got the baby Hitler strat, but that's about it for Eren. Though it is funny that is a legitimate win con, and I feel like that in and of itself is some form of a accomplishment. So stand proud, you were strong. But ultimately, I'm giving it to Clive.
You have convinced us that there is a win condition.
I did my
crazy as that is.
Dog, I'm gonna be real. I got sacked with like a fucking town to city level character, and I had to go against the fucking uni character, and I was like, "Fuck it, we ball."
We didn't even use uni arguments. We just argued.
Oh yeah. I feel like I should probably put this out there for the people watching as the one who submitted the matchup. I do not buy most of the arguments for Clive being uni. Don't get me wrong, I am very happy that Clive won the battle against Dante, but I don't believe the arguments. My main problem,
even better scaling. He had country level stuff. He just never brought up.
I thought the island stuff was good enough.
Yeah, the island stuff, the country stuff, the fact that I do believe Clive is planetary at the cert and maybe even star level. I can't buy Clive being universal based off of Ultima scaling, because the entire argument of Ultima being universal fundamentally destroys the entire story of Final Fantasy 16. Because, spoilers, the entire point of why Ultima is doing what he's doing is because his entire race overused magic, and the blight that's now currently happening on Clive's home planet basically happened all throughout the rest of the universe. Ultima has an entire villain monologue to Clive talking about why he created humanity and why they have this problem. And if Ultima can genuinely create universes and it isn't just theatrical set dressing, like the lore says, then I don't understand why in the world any of this happens. Why didn't they just make an entirely new universe and go to that? Why it fundamentally breaks the entire story to say Ultima can create universes. And I have yet to hear anyone give me an answer that I feel genuinely solves that story breaking problem.
Ultima is a dumbass.
I personally disagree.
Why Ultimecia couldn't just do that.
I personally disagree, but that's a discussion for another day.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And like I think that as far as the scaling goes, that's a much more subjective thing. I think that there's, I don't. That's certainly not a strong point one way or the other. I've always had a bit of trouble with it. But so just bear in mind, everyone who's saying, "Oh, this is a stomp." I knew it was a stomp going in. I just wanted to talk about it. I'll talk a bit more if everyone's all right with that about why I like the matchup, regardless of the stomp factor. Once we're done with the poll.
Yeah, we will get into
I
that.
will end the
Yeah.
poll. So with a total of 67% of the vote, Clive has taken the chat poll.
You got 3 votes for Eren, Lord. That's an accomplishment.
You did get three people did vote for Eren based on your
Yeah.
arguments.
Yeah. So
Don't worry. I will surely beat you again when we do Cyclops versus Kamen Rider 5.
dude, you took Tifa versus Makoto from me. You took this from me. I'm not letting you fucking beat me again, man. You
Zero
ain't.
level Cyclops lasers. For the winner. So anyway, I have a confession to make to the chat. We kind of knew the appeal of this this matchup isn't necessarily the debate. Jonas, what is your vision for this matchup if it was to get a death battle?
I think that primarily, I want to start with a quote from Stan Lee, which is that whoever the right author wants to win is gonna win. If any, and I mean, look at the amount of crossover scaling nonsense. You have Godzilla, who normally is breaking buildings and stuff, but then in his Marvel and DC crossovers, he's suddenly able to go toe to toe with Superman and Thor and so on and so forth. If this was ever made into an actual thing, you would the scaling would go crazy to make it a fair fight. But the reason it matters so much to me is I'm a storyteller at heart. I'm a guy who loves stories and what stories speak about to the human condition, how they talk about, what matters to us, what matters in culture and stuff. And as I was playing through Final Fantasy 16, I was like, oh my gosh, this is basically the what if Eren Yeager didn't go off the deep end. There's a Reddit post that was posted on the Death Battle Matchups subreddit that basically went over the thematic parallels. And to briefly summarize it, because it is very long, to very briefly summarize
Do you have the
it.
Reddit post on you right now?
Actually, yes, I do. If you want,
if you
I can send you
that
the
to me,
link.
I'll put it in the stream description.
Yeah, give me a minute. Credit to Craniac for writing this up. It's basically, if I wasn't so lazy, I would have written this up myself. But I am a bit too lazy. One day, though, I may end up turning this into a character analysis video. But the long and short of it is, Clive and Eren have a very, very similar story. They both start as basically children who watch their family members die in front of them, and their entire lives basically become dominated by that one moment, and wanting revenge against the entity that did it to them. Ultimately then learning that, that entity was themselves later on. But what's fascinating, and this is something that I feel very few of the matchups that Clive has ever gets into, is that Clive and Eren aren't just individuals who lost family and so swore revenge. It's a very common archetype. Clive and Eren are also revolutionaries. And they're two people who see a broken system and have wildly different reactions as to how that system should be dealt with. Eren sees the system as completely and utterly broken, and he feels humanity is too broken to ever be able to be actually fixed. I mean, that is ultimately his point, where Zeke wants to, his brother Zeke wants to just, say that, okay, get rid of the rest of the Eldians, and then the rest of humanity will be all right. And Eren's response to that is, screw that idea. Humanity is horrible, and humanity has been awful to us, and it doesn't deserve to exist. And he essentially sets up, like Laura was saying, using the past to basically time travel. He sets up a whole domino effect, allowing just to basically wipe out as much of humanity as possible, so that the people he loves and are closest to him can go on living. And it's not a good idea. From a very moralistic perspective, it's a very bad idea. You're killing people who had nothing to do with your suffering, and it's likely not going to survive long term anyway. I think the series itself actually sort of not acknowledges that long term Eren's plan isn't going to work even after 80% of the humanity is gone, either from total collapse of the species or from the rest of the world eventually repopulating, and then the audience have the problem all over again. But it's ultimately going back to character archetypes. Eren is a tragic man who was broken by by years upon years of wanting revenge, basically being militarized as a child, and then saying the world is broken, it can't be fixed, it should all be burned. Clive had basically the exact same thing happen. He saw the world break, his entire world gone in an instant, where his mother betrays his father. He sees Joshua, the person who matters most to him in his life, get killed, and it spends the next 13 years of his life stuck as a slave to a military he despises, and has no reason to live except for wanting to one day find the guy who killed Joshua and kill him himself. And beyond that, he has no purpose in life. He doesn't want anything. He sees life as meaningless. But because he finds people who do matter, he finds Sid, he finds Jill again, Torgal shows up, and he ends up, and he's not even fully sold on the whole, bearer versus, and yeah, the parallels between bearers and Eldians should be rather obvious. But he's not even sold on the whole bearer versus, non-bearer thing at first. He doesn't care about Sid's grand mission of liberating the bearers and creating an equal society at first. He just wants his revenge. But it's through having people like Sid who are having healthy relationships, and people who matter, people who support you and can be your shoulders to lean on. Clive goes from being someone who probably would have turned out quite like Eren to being a man who lives beyond the desire for revenge, beyond the desire for just destruction. He goes on to lead Sid's own rebellion to try to bring, to try to bring change. And his stance fundamentally disagrees with Eren's, because his entire argument to Ultima is that human beings have free will and should be allowed, and shouldn't just be allowed. They have a right to make their own path. And his response isn't to kill people. His response, and as you see it throughout the game, as he interacts with the world and with the various side quests and the various people that make it up, his response becomes one of magic as a problem, not the inherent human nature. And his final act, unlike Eren's final act, is essentially is the most destructive act you can imagine. Turning into the founding Titan and keeping it going so that he kills 80% of the world. With his sole self-sacrifice being an idea that maybe that will get his friends off from the rest of the world, back off of them. Clive's self-sacrifice is the ultimate self-sacrifice of, I'm doing this not just for the people I love, but for basically everyone. He removes magic from the world, not so that the bearers will not just so that the bearers will be fine, but that humanity as a whole has a chance to restart for itself and show that humanity is worth saving. Humanity does have worth in and of itself. So the thematic idea of two men who have such similar parallel stories and have every reason to, Clive has every reason to turn out like Eren, but because he has that little bit more. He has that little bit more of healthier relationships, healthier friendships, that he doesn't push away, that he doesn't isolate, that he eventually does, come into, that ultimately saves him. I think that there's something a bit beautiful about that, and on a meta level, the fact that Clive does win this, I think is a sort of little neat sort of like, moralistic victory of, the healthier ideology wins out in the end.
Yeah,
yes. This entire thing was an excuse for me to wax poetic on the power of friendship. Congratulations, you all got duped.
Yeah, could you bring up Clive versus Eren again?
This is why Eren should have fucking won. The power of friendship is dumb as shit. The power of turning into a fucking titan and punching your problems in the face, that's the real money.
Don't worry, Clive has plenty of that as well. But, as funny as the image is, and it is hilarious, it does kind of encapsulate the idea of what I'm trying to say with the fights. I think that it's a very interesting argument that both stories are making, and I just find Clive's to be a bit more, optimistic.
So what's the story you would write? Like, it's
honestly,
Eren versus
if I was gonna write it as a story, I would have it that Clive comes in to offer the Eldians the support of Sid's revolutionaries, and at some point, whether probably from Zeke, Clive hears about Eren's desire to sort of wipe the slate clean, and he tries to talk him out of it. I like the idea of Zeke, Eren's older brother, appealing to Clive as, one older brother to the other, trying to, save the younger brother, as it were. And so Clive tries to talk Eren out of it, and Eren refuses to hear it. He's too far gone on that end. He thinks that humanity isn't worth saving, and he's like, look, bring your people to Paradise Island. Bring the bears to Paradise Island. They have they're also persecuted in that same way. But then we're wiping the slate clean. Help me wipe everything else off the map, and we'll restart from there. And Clive refuses to believe that. He refuses to condone the what is the ultimate genocide almost. Again, 80% of the entire human species. And that's what causes the fight. And I imagine them arguing ideology as the fight goes on. And I wrote this sort of like final line from Clive because it's a very Clive-esque line. Clive is the only Final Fantasy character, as far as I'm aware, to name drop the series, specifically in his killing blow to Ultima, where he goes, the only fantasy here is yours and will be your final witness. This is why I love the man, by the way. He is a universe busting absolute brick house of a man, and he's also the single biggest doofus in the entire series, and I love it.
So just name dropping the series is in character for him.
Yeah,
right. So I imagine
for more during
Take-
the fight.
oh, yes.
Take this attack, you damn Titan!
Yeah,
But
but
say something,
I will
and then
attack
it's
this
like,
Titan.
but I imagine it's something
is
more
this?
to the.
Why is this a Titan attacking me?
Yeah, I imagine it's something more to lens of perhaps coexistence really is not but a fantasy, but even still, I won't rest until it is our final future. Is it cheesy as all get out? Yes, it's also absolutely in character for him.
Okay,
And-
that's just reminding me of the fucking finishing line in fucking Cole versus Alex, where it's like, this
yeah.
sure isn't perfect, but it's a lot better without you in it.
Yeah, that was going through my head. I also imagine it's very similar. The final blow to be very similar to the Leviathan fight, where Ifrit sends up like the giant fire spirit ball, throws it at the founding Titan, and while Eren's holding it back, he comes up with a second one and uppercuts him into it. And if at the same time Clive was somehow fighting Eren in the paths as well, then I imagine something similar to his, punch against Ultima at the very end of his Ultima fight.
I would say it would be cool if this fight ended if they were back in their human form, but I don't know if it could.
I think if again, this is the sort of the writers will do what they wish. If I was going to write this and I was only slightly constrained by canon, I would have it that Clive's spirit self, quote unquote, is fighting Eren's spirit self in the paths, while their physical bodies are Ifrit and the Founding Titan fighting in the real world. I also just and come on, at the end of the day, regardless of the scaling, can we not all agree that the idea of Ifrit fighting off a army of Titans is just badass?
It
Just an
is.
I'm
army of
kind of
colossal Titans.
imagining in a Ben 10 Ultimate Alien when Ultimate Humongousaur fights off like hundreds of normal Humongousaurs.
Yes, exactly, kind of like that. I
Yeah.
actually,
Include in the fight script Eren sending a bunch of Titans to siege Baby Clive's castle as Clive like dimensional slashes his way into the paths. Is that part of the script?
He just
you know what, go fit. Why not? Why not? Make it as crazy as possible.
Busts
As
into
absolutely
the patch,
insane as possible.
fucking Gurren Lagann style, and it's like, truly.
Clive was like, I need to hit all points in time simultaneously.
Clive is like, your ideology is gonna kill billions. However, that will not happen here, for it will be your final attack, you damn Titans.
There you go.
Clive has to pull a Final Fantasy VIII and compress all of time into one moment so he can attack Eren.
I'm just imagining you don't. Clive at one point, talking about the freezing time thing, and Eren going, "Oh, time, huh? Thanks for the tip." And then doing the baby Hitler strat. Why are we even going at the baby Hitler strat? There's a much clearer answer. The Hal Jordan strat.
Yes.
So it's so simple. Why didn't I see it before?
And then Ifrit steps on Eren and is like, I stepped in loser.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to talk about with this matchup?
No, I think we've sort of covered all the beats.
Yeah.
The universe-sized elephant in the room, and the general conversation of why I like it so much, even if it is a horrendous stomp. And I mean, look, at the end of the day, stomps can still be fun. If you write something well, I don't think it matters too much. I mean, look at Omnilander. That's still considered one of the best episodes that Death Battle has ever done, and we all knew how it was going to end. Everyone knew what was going to happen.
Yeah,
I will say this is definitely a good hero versus villain fight. I will say.
Yeah, I'll admit this is definitely a really cool heroes versus villain. Like, if this was to be like an official crossover fight, I would be like so fucking in for it, man. It would be.
They do be making crossovers for anything. Remember when Planet of the Apes crossed over with like Green Lantern? They'll do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Comics, man.
There you go. That's
crazy.
how we get the Eren upscale by getting an official Attack on Titan and Final Fantasy 16 crossover.
Wait, no. I should have brought up the Attack on Titan KFC crossover and the fact that the Colonel has fought Titans and the Colonel is also a Green Lantern, so I could have gotten DC upscale. Like, shit.
No, you've missed
There we
your
go.
chance.
Yeah,
Was
you
Eren
missed
in-
it.
Was Eren in Jump Force?
I don't know.
Nah, Eren's not part of Jump. I don't think Eren's part of Jump.
No,
Like,
I
I think he's technically a sign-in?
Yeah, I think he technically is.
I think isn't Attack on Titan Kondashi? Shueisha's Jump.
Yeah.
Anyways, Eren's victory might have been in effect. However, thanks to Clive, it was a mere fantasy instead.
There we go. All right.
Clive
There's
has
your
not been a
point.
fan of Eren, but throughout the battle, his victory was cast. Yeah.
There we go. Yay.
I guess
Fantastic.
I had to
up
dig
on
into
this-
some deep, dark lore in order to make sure that Eren had some win cons.
Yeah.
gonna
Again,
talk about
props
some
for that.
stuff.
That was genuinely impressive.
Yeah.
On the 15th, which is Saturday, coming up, we will do a little bit of a bonus cast. We have Cecil versus Amanda Waller coming up on the 15th. That'll be a fun talk.
That's another wonderful hero versus villain. Even if calling Cecil a hero is a bit
Hero's an
iffy.
interesting descriptor, but I guess in
Well,
comparison,
villain is
more-
also an interesting descriptor for Amanda, so.
Morally gray fighters.
I think here's the thing. I think if they're both morally
I
gray,
would
but if you're
definitely
gonna,
pick Cecil if I had to pick between the two.
oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
obviously, like at least he does. At least he just brainwashes people and doesn't like fucking strap.
I don't
I-
even.
I will
want to point
say-
out that I don't even know. I don't even know if it's actually brainwashing. Like I know like like with Darkwing 2, he really just needed therapy. Like he might have
Yeah.
just gotten him into therapy, and that literally is all he would have needed.
Yeah, I will say Cecil keeping Conquest alive was a bit of a mistake, not gonna
Oh.
lie.
I was really hoping they were going to change that for the show, that they were going to change it to Cecil assuming he was dead and trying to turn him into a reanimin, and then like that, and well, or something else, as opposed to literally deciding to keep him alive again. But
I get why he wanted to keep Conquest alive, but it was really a dumb move on his part.
there's a genuine argument I heard, which is essentially that Cecil has little to no options to deal with Viltrumites, and he doesn't know if Conquest is the average Viltrumite or not. And so he feels like, well, crap. It's either there could be 100,000 more of these, because he doesn't know about the whole Viltrumites only having 50 of them left. So he genuinely thinks this is the only thing he can do. It's still a stretch to try to justify it.
Yeah. Anyway, Cecil versus Amanda sounds pretty cool. Like I would be
I've
interested.
begun to gain viewers.
Yeah, I want to start. Okay, I'm
We should just start
sorry.
an Invincible podcast, I guess.
If it's Invincible,
But anyway,
wow.
All right, once people learned about a real good series like Invincible instead of Attack on Mid and Final Mid Fantasy.
I do genuinely like Invincible more than Attack on Titan. Anyway,
You and me both.
I do want to also bring up to all 10 people watching right now. If y'all haven't checked out
double digits.
Nebula Theater, we recently had a streamer. We announced our Halloween tournament bracket where y'all
Yeah,
will
go-
be able to vote.
Go
and
to
pick out
Nebula
which
Theater.
our Halloween matchup for sometime in the future. I don't even know which Halloween it's going to be.
Go watch Kara versus Sonic.exe and then immediately type in the comments, I want Ghost Rider versus Devilman. Please make it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We could just, me and Sherm could just like deconfirm that matchup because you're a little bitch.
We just veto it. Never happening.
No,
We could genuinely do that.
no.
Yeah, but it's not like it's not like it's an amendment. We could always just change our minds.
No, once we make a decision, it is permanently locked in.
With all
We
that
got
said,
Sure, when we do it.
thanks for watching, everyone. This was a fun little cast on a.
Yeah.
I'll say it's a very unique matchup, and I had fun talking about it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I had fun talking about Attack on Titan and how bullshit the final arc